we reached out to probably close to 1 billion people worldwide. So we are incredibly proud with the way that the program is growing, and we really want World Brain Day to be a household name.
Fellow Homo sapiens. So this year, on the 22nd of July 2023, we have the 10th World Brain Day with a focus on brain health and disability. And I am excited to introduce to you the leader and co-chair of World Brain Day, senior neurologist Tissa Wijeratne from Western Health in Melbourne, Australia.
Torie, thank you for having me. Thank you for your amazing work, raising awareness on brain health worldwide in the way that you are capable of, and the congratulations for the work so far. I am a neurologist. You have interviewed neurologists before. We are basically medical folks, physicians who are interested in brain. I became interested in brain since I was a small child in very rural Sri Lanka, and I had no idea that I could end up in medical school at that time. But when I had the opportunity, I was pretty determined that is where I would go. And I kept learning about and continue to learn about as a lifelong student, despite people now call me a professor and a senior neurologist. So I am a brain health expert, still continue to learn.
So we have the upcoming World Brain Day, which is an annual event where we focus on, yes, the brain as a whole, but there's always like a topic, a specific topic each year. What is the topic this year?
This year's topic is brain health and disability. Brain is such an amazing organ, as you know. And at this point of time, the conditions affecting brain or brain health conditions, in particular things like anxiety, depression, headache, and the rest, they actually cost the global economy more than when you put cancer and cardiovascular disorders together. That's a huge amount of cost. Despite that, and the other thing is 1 in 2 of us seems to be suffering from a brain disorder, whether we like it or not. Say, for an example, you suffer from a brain disorder, I suffer from a brain disorder that I know of. We both might be suffering from other brain disorders that we don't know of at this point of time, things like Parkinson's disease or dementia, because they only manifest several decades later, so that doctors can recognize them. Despite this, the awareness on brain and brain health is very low globally. So in 2014, we felt that it is important that we raise awareness and we empower people with these disorders so that we can deal with them better. So we came up with the idea of World Brain Day. We chose 22nd of July. That was the day that World Federation Neurology was established in your beautiful city, London, UK, at that time. So it was natural for us to select that day. Since then, every year we would select a topic and advocate on that topic going global with the idea of raising awareness, increasing access, increasing treatment, rehabilitation, etc. This year, all of us felt that we should select brain health and disability. There's a reason behind that. At this point of time, conditions affecting the brain, as I said, not only cost economy, they are the leading cause of disability worldwide. And they cost us a lot, they cost a lot of disability. We felt that raising awareness is critically important in reducing disability through timely access to care, treatment, rehabilitation in an equitable way right around the world. The other side of the story is, I think you are going to ask more later on, that low to middle income countries or the difficult parts of the world, these problems affect more, almost 70% of the time. So it is timely that we choose this topic and go global on it. So we are going to advocate or raise awareness on brain health and disability.
Wonderful. I'm completely behind everything you just said. And mentioning sort of low to middle income countries, with the epilepsy specifically, it's estimated that 80% of cases are actually in low to middle income countries, down to a number of things. Say, for instance, it could be lack of funding to support women in pregnancy and birth, which could cause lack of oxygen to the brain, which could cause an epilepsy, plus multiple other illnesses or diseases. And there also tends to be more stigma, generalizing that I am here, or different types of stigma in low to middle income countries as well. What does the organisation do regarding these types of things, please?
The World Federation Neurology is a global organization, and the World Federation Neurology is working with all other global organizations, which we call as Global Neurological Alliance. Had been the case for well over a decade. And the World Federation Neurology is specifically closely working with colleagues in Asia and colleagues in Africa and colleagues in Latin America and rest of the other parts where attention is needed. There are a whole lot of programs, and I strongly encourage your viewers to visit our website and look what we have been doing. And in particular for epilepsy, I think it is important for me to go back to my own past and remind you of an exceptional epidemiological study that was done in Sri Lanka by my mentor way before I was even becoming interested in medicine. And he did this fabulous epilepsy study in late 1970s without having a single grant support, just using a volunteer organization back in Sri Lanka and training several hundred volunteers on how to take history in epilepsy, and then working with one of his international colleagues, the late Professor Harry Mienaard, if I remember correctly, from Netherlands, and getting him to donate an EEG machine. That's where I read my first EEG later on as a young doctor, also from the same machine and same EEG. And then he did get these volunteers to do a massive door-to-door survey of well over 100,000 people and classifying them into different subtypes of epilepsy and doing EEGs and doing a really good the epidemiological study in epilepsy, and also addressing stigma. That is the inherently the engaged and involved globally, certainly in low to middle income countries. Not only that, he did a beautiful movie which won the I think gold medal. In fact, beating England and one of the other rich countries, if I remember correctly, the raising awareness and addressing the stigma. If I remember correctly, the movie name was Across the River. It was done in Sinhalese language, but the English translation is Across the River. Idea is the across the river of darkness through the lightness and knowledge and wisdom. So the relationship between Federation and this kind of work is Federation provide a platform for this sort of work. We also have a small grant scheme now. We are not a super rich organization, but we still offer a number of grants to do this sort of a study in the resource limited setting. And we also connect people like late Professor Harry Mienaard and my mentor through the meetings that we host on biannual basis. And also the World Brain Day that we were talking about, which we are celebrating 10th year now. I believe now we reached out to probably close to 1 billion people worldwide. So we are incredibly proud with the way that the program is growing, and we really want brain health to be a household name and World Brain Day to be a household name. And we put the brain where it should be in global sense. Disability also, obviously the epilepsy and other neurological disorders contribute to the disability as the number one cause. The history of disability, we can't forget. If you look at eugenic era, there were brilliant neurologists at that time who felt that they should get rid of disabled people as they were regarded as inferior to live in the community. But we come a long way now. We still have some countries regard disability as a charity, but the United Nations, World Health Organizations, all our organizations strongly believe that the access to disability and addressing disability as a basic human right. It should not be dependent on charity. I think
Correct.
every human being, whether they have a brain disorder or not, it's a basic human right for them to be able to live up to the full potential. And all these things can be addressed much better by raising awareness and educating and empowering people so that we can continue to live as a successful species in our planet Earth.
I like your language as a successful species. I love it. And do you think it's okay? I mean, something that I try to convey quite a lot to people is that, say somebody has a neurological disorder, like say, for instance, somebody experiences migraine, which can be just absolutely horrific. They often actually have other neurological diseases simultaneously. So say, well, for instance, migraines are more common in people with an epilepsy and vice versa, or the epilepsies are more common in people who experience dementia and things like that. Is that a message that you think is important for World Brain Day?
Absolutely. I think the brain disorders are preventable and treatable. I do have migraine. You have epilepsy. Of course, I am at high risk of epilepsy compared to someone else. Similarly, you are at high risk of having comorbid migraine than someone else. But that should not let us have those disorders have us. We are here for a short period of time on this planet, and obviously our brain is not a static thing. It changes all the time. What we are arguing for, or what we are advocating for, is giving the full potential for each of our brain to live up to the fullest potential and give our very best so that we can continue to support each other's and hopefully when our time comes to leave, we would leave a much better planet than where we began, having contributed to the positive growth of ourselves, our families, friends, villages, cities, countries, regions, and eventually the planet Earth itself as a one place. When we talk about brain health, we are promoting brain health for all, irrespective of the color or the language or the region that they live in. So my message is, yes, the brain disorders increase the risk of having comorbid other brain disorders, but we should not forget that majority of these disorders are preventable. We have over 100 million strokes at this point of time. At least 90% of them could have been prevented. We have 50 million the people with epilepsy at this point of time. At least 40% of that could have been prevented by reducing childbirth trauma, infections, the parasitic
water.
infections, the clean water, the etc. And out of 50 million dementia cases, we strongly believe that good vascular protection and healthy lifestyle could have prevented at least 40% of them also. So that's a message that we should not forget, the prevention. And then compared to 100 years ago, I already told you that the journey of disability. We are talking about some of the super clever neurologists telling us 50 years ago that the groups of people should not be allowed to live. That's a eugenic era. But we come a long way. Now, here I am telling you that the disability is a basic human right and every brain should be given the full potential for it to give its best to themselves and their loved ones and to the community and world at large. And the rehabilitation and the technological advances and therapeutic advances. I remember when I told my friends as a third-year medical student that I'm vehemently interested in neurology and I wanted to become a neurologist, most of my friends said that you should not do neurology. You are too clever for neurology. You should do something that you could do useful.
Oh my goodness.
Because at that time, they were partly right because we didn't have too much in therapeutic sense in neurology. 30 years ago, we had only 2 or 3 anti-epileptic drugs. We had hardly anything for multiple sclerosis. Stroke was not regarded as a treatable disorder at that time. There was nothing that we could do for dementia. Brain health was not a word that we used at that time. Prevention was not in neurology armamentarium. Neurologists at that time were well-dressed, bow tie wearing, the flamboyant, the clever people who would make a flamboyant diagnosis and walk away without having treatment. That's the sort of the era that we lived at that time. But today, we do just as any other the medical folks do, and most of our patients are working, paying tax, and contributing to the society just as anyone else. And we brought a whole lot of therapeutics to neurological care that we did not have several decades ago. And it is important now to address the equity. So everyone has access to them, and raising awareness and talking about them is critically important in this journey. I always tell young medical students and young doctors that this is the most exciting time to be interested in brain health and get into neurology, and more things would happen. I mean, you're talking about brain. Without our brains, none of these things would exist. There won't be anything, basically, that we enjoy today if not for human brain, isn't it?
Exactly. I think, we're, from what you've just basically well summarized, is that we are at the most exciting time in history when it comes to brain health, and the research that is being done and further understandings or recognition of lack of understanding and the work that needs to be done. It's a great time. We definitely need more students to be studying neurology and neuroscience and applying those skills and that knowledge and growing upon furthering that knowledge to improve the quality of lives of people affected by neurological diseases, which includes not just people with the diagnosis or potential diagnosis, but actually the rest of the world as well, correct?
Absolutely. And given that 1 in 2 of us are potentially having a brain disorder, because we are not single isolated people, we are connected to others, our families, friends, society. It almost looks like that everyone is affected. In fact, when it comes to disability, the truth is every single one of us going to be disabled, whether we like it or not, temporary or permanently at some point in our life. So every one of us. So I strongly encourage everybody to visit World Federation Neurology website, go to World Brain Day site, download our toolbox, post it on your Facebook page, Twitter page, Instagram, or whatever the social media that you use, and talk about it. And that's how we can promote quality neurology and better brain health for everybody right across the world. As we said before we start recording, we lived in a world where good musicians managed to cut across cultures and societies with their beautiful music without internet, without television, long time ago. Now we have a lot more tools at our hand, like the recording that you do from 2 sides from the world and still generating useful contents to the world. And for our friends, we have created all what they need. All they need to do is to drop into our website, download them, and spread the word and share around.
Thank you so much to Tissa for working with us globally to improve the lives of people affected by the epilepsies and other neurological and psychiatric conditions. Do check out more about Tissa via the website torierobinson.com/epilepsy-sparks-insights and find out more about what you can do for World Brain Day via wfneurology.org/world-brain-day-2023.